Hey, we just got done doing a job. Come on now.
The leather. The nice leather.
Get y'all situated. Is that too high or is it the same? It's the same? Okay. It's more comfortable. Oh, it sounds so good right now. Okay. Oh, okay. Are we ready? Man, look at these amazing gentlemen right here. Give it up, y'all. Give it up. Give it up. Look, this is probably my favorite part. How many guys listen to a lot of podcasts or interviews or spend time really understanding like how people think and their success and really like indulging into that space? How many of y'all do that? Oh, thank you. This is great. Okay. I go to sleep listening to the podcasts. I wake up listening to the podcasts. I read a lot of books about just people who have come before me and just studying those people. And these are two people right here that are creating not just a career, but are in the process of creating a remarkable legacy right now. And I want to celebrate them today and really get into their minds while they're in the process of it. You know, and I say they're young in the game because they have so much to offer to the culture and to the game, and we're barely scratching the surface. And they've contributed too much, like so much into what space that they work in. And I'm excited to pick at their minds, allow you guys to ask them questions, and to really understand these two today, y'all. Can we give it up for them one more time before we get into this? All right. Can we get another mic? Can we get another mic? Mic. I just throw it. Mic. Hey, Zay. Hey, Ills, I need a mic, bro. Okay, how about this? How about I ask you the question? And then by the time I ask you the question, there will be a mic coming on stage. Let's do it. My God, M80, y'all, the one and only. Hey. All right, look, man, let me introduce these two amazing gentlemen right here, okay, and explain what these two do, okay? So, right here, we have Jesse Sykes, y'all, in the all black. Man, my boy Jesse right here, of course, is an amazing mover, freestyler, dancer, educator, amazing individual. But I think if I were just to label him as that, I would be really undermining who he really is. It's Jesse Sykes, you know, like who he is and how he radiates and works with people and his professionalism is what really like encompasses who he is. And on top of that, he is an amazing athlete in dance and in movement. So this dude, Jesse Sykes, I'm excited to get into like his whole process and who he is. One of the most genuine wizards I've ever met, y'all. Okay. Up next, we got Konkrete right here, y'all. Some of you guys may know him off of So You Think You Can Dance, World of Dance, other Nightwalkers, other platforms that you've seen him conquered and bring the culture into the space and infiltrated it. But there's a lot to Konkrete, that is I believe is so much more valuable than just what you see as far as dance. I've known Kevin for a very long time now. He's been teaching me crump since I was like 13. And he was one of my like first mentors in the game and has taught me ever since. And I still hold it down. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of the big bros and someone that just continues to push the envelope in everything he does, from music production to songwriting, fashion, you name it, he does it, and he puts his own twist to it all the time. And these two gentlemen on this panel, it's an honor to have you guys. You guys ready? All right, y'all. Look at these questions. Okay. I'm open up, and today's Q&A panel, I really want to ask questions that are a little taboo, maybe questions that people want to ask or are afraid to ask, and to take that initiative. And you can always pass. If you're like, nah, next question, I'm down, all right? So, but I would love to really explore where you guys are at. Cool. All right, today's panel is becoming a personal brand. And when establishing yourself as a personal brand, you're creating yourself into, I would say, an entity where you are now conducting business or, commerce. But building a personal brand is like building a brand in general. When you see Nike, what do we know Nike for? Their logo, right? Just do it. What kind of apparel do they make? What kind of merch do they make? They make shoes. They make this and that. But Nike has a branding code. You won't see a Nike swoosh sign like squiggly. You won't, because it goes against their branding code. You won't see them use certain colors because it goes against their branding code. You won't see them make dresses because it goes against their branding code. And these two who are establishing themselves as personal brands have created spaces in their own industry and community where they've been able to identify themselves and push those boundaries. And that's what I want to get into today. Cool. My first question to the both of y'all is is how often do you guys get booked? So on a monthly basis, how often are you getting booked? And keep in mind, these are two individuals who are creating a full livelihood off of their passion. So that's what we're touching up on today. But yeah, how often do you guys get booked?
Yo. What's up? Like you said, my name is Jesse Sykes. I'm also honored to be here. I know he's talking about it's an honor for us to be here, but I'm honored to be here and speaking with you guys, speaking my truth and about my passion, right? I think that it's definitely wishy-washy, but I think that I book anywhere from 5 to 6 gigs a month right now. Yeah.
Dope.
Damn. What's up, y'all? Konkrete. Y'all might just know me just living in Sacramento, too. So I basically still live out here. I just got a place out there in L.A., you know what I mean? And being out there, it's with the style that I do, is like, and the bookings that I get every month, it took a lot of time for that one. You know what I mean? Because it's just starting. So I would say just last year I started booking like 4 strong gigs a month. You know what I mean? And then sometimes 3, but that third job will kind of like be a big one. I'm like, ooh, okay, there it is. Yeah. But yeah, so I would say I average around like 4 a month right now.
For those that don't really understand, and these are two dancers, so we're talking about bookings as far as dance. What is a big gig? What's considered a big gig, and what are some of your big gigs that you guys have done, and what are smaller gigs?
You want to just continue? Yeah, continue it.
So a big gig, I think the dream gig is less work with more money. You know what I'm saying? So one of the biggest gig I've ever done in my life, and it sucks that this is not known, but the right people, you know what I mean, at that time knew about it. It was just your regular TV show, little thing. It's a gig, and that gig got me financially lit one time in my life. But what sucked was the longevity was gone because it never came out. You know what I mean? So that was I had to switch it. All right, well, start over, even though, you know what I mean, even though that was the one. But it varies. You know what I mean? As far as gigs, man, small gigs, privates. Those are gigs but those are like gigs that I love, man. As far as like teaching, you know what I mean? And gigs there's categories. There's teaching gigs. There's performance gigs. So it varies, man. Like one teaching gig can be more than a show gig. You know what I'm saying? So I really can't even put my thumb on it, man. It just varies, especially today because of like social media. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going off of what he just said is it's so versatile nowadays. You can do so many different things from being able to be like mentoring someone. That could be a gig in itself, private lessons, but you can also run a mentoring program. Like you can have multiple students that you build with. It could be as far as judging, and it can be choreography competitions, or it could be battles. You never know. It's very, very versatile. For me, one of the big ones right now is I judge off and on for World of Dance for their choreography as well as some of their battles, and that's to me a big step in the right direction because I appreciate what that brand does, not only on like a global scale with TV, but also they support the battle culture, and that's important because that's where I come from. So I think that right now is like the big one for me. I don't necessarily have like my mind wrapped around like what would be the perfect gig, but I mean I accept all of them. It's something I can learn from always, and it's just a blessing. So yeah, they can be as small as private lessons or as big as judging on like a TV show, but they come in all forms.
What's your lifestyle like? So what's like, say you wake up at 8 a.m. and you go to sleep, probably not, but like 10 p.m., right, 11 p.m. Like what is your day-to-day schedule like? And being a, self-entrepreneurs and being a self-brand and being freelance creatives and dancers, how rigorous is your schedule? Because are you guys full-time? Yeah, so they're full-time grinding and hustling to make sure that they're getting a check, So what's your day-to-day like?
I would like to say that it's every day at 7 is when I start. Some days not so much. Some days it's right on point. But for me, first and foremost is my day-to-day has to focus around my craft. I have to train. I have to do something creative to start my day, or else it's not in motion for me. I put in anywhere from like 2 to 5 hours, just depending on how I feel, on my dance specifically. And then right from there, I go straight into marketing myself. Like, how can I build my brand? How can I build myself to where I can present myself to any audience? Just trying to think outside the box. So I'm always trying to kind of like cipher on my own, in a sense, and find ways to market myself after I've already kind of like said thank you for this gift, And then it's just countless hours of that. Traveling like crazy, especially once you start booking constantly, it throws that off. So it tests kind of your why and what you're doing and kind of throws your schedule around for a loop. But as long as you still get those like 2 to 5 hours in or whatever it may be, that's a good day to me. That's my schedule for sure.
Oh, man. All of that right there. Yeah. Throw that Starbucks in there one time. The matcha with the coconut milk, Venti extra matcha.
The hojicha.
Just to stay up. So, Jordan gets on me for that. You spending $500 a month? No, I really don't do that. But, man, I wake up, man, and like you said, it varies. Like, if it's a travel month, I wake up and I do a lot of watching. Like, and listen, like I just got on podcasts because of Brian and Jacob, bro. Like, so that was a way that I learned how to learn, like learning myself, which is something that's a tip for like artists out there. Learn yourself, you know what I mean? So I learned that I love to learn by listening, you know what I mean, and watching too, which is very key. It's important, you know what I mean? Of course, like learning new ways to market, check my like my revenue income, you know, from doing instrumentals and beats and like my songs and like, you know, keeping up with my financial stuff. Then I do like 2 hours of music, just 2 hours of making trash, like trash. And then I keep it. You know what I mean? You got to keep the trash. I'm telling you, it's something in there. You know, you just let it stink a little more, you know? But, you know, we try to like keep that same schedule, but it varies. Like with traveling, bro, it just takes a toll. So you really got to, you know, figure that one out, like on your own, man. And what else, man? Of course, I get into the lab one time. I don't have to keep anything. It's just keeping my body moving. You know what I mean? As far as social media, trying to find something that's relatable to the, you know, to the crowd that's watching me. You know, keeping up with social media is so new to me, bruh. Like, I don't care how long I had it. I'll be looking at people like, bro, how could you do that every day? And they like, bro, you got followers. I'm like, but I don't do that every day. Like, I tried it. I stopped for a week. I did it for 2 weeks, stopped for a month. You know what I mean? You really got to be consistent. Yeah. And that's something that was added to my schedule, is keeping up with social media, you know, and then trying to spend time with my fiance. Now we got added a job, or I got added a job. Now we got to save money for the wedding, you know. So I'm like, all right, well, let me look for some gigs to, oh, Lord Jesus. You know, so, and that's not even including daycare. You know, me and my son's mom, we talk daily on something better for our son, because he's special needs. So we're trying to like, trying to constantly find something better. Now we found a better daycare, which is a blessing. You know what I mean? He had an incident where he fell, hit his head. We had to find a different school. I'm like, man. Right. So those are the rocks thrown, you know what I mean, on top of maintaining the schedule. So that, as of now, that's what I do right there. I get up, Starbucks, learn, figure it out, honestly.
So now we're getting to the conversation of being like, you know, so that's more of their creative side. That's more of like what the creativity requires. But now we're talking about being a self-brand, which now is talking about the business, the negotiation, the leveraging, and understanding the consistency on how to market yourself. You know, so now that, you know, I think all of us, we started dancing from a place of passion, out of love. Like, oh, I love this, I'm going to do it, you know. But then there's also that shift of, wow, I want to do this as a career, you know. And then there's a shift of like, wow, I have to sometimes dance even when I don't feel like it and make money. I don't like that feeling. But then it's a whole emotional roller coaster now, because it's like you book 3, 4, 5 jobs and you're not happy, you know. But then you learn through that process that personal, like, passion dancing and then like you know, gig dancing are two different variants of the same art form, because they come from two different motives, you know. So going through that process of being, okay, I love dance, now I want to do more in dance. How did you find, or how are you finding the median of, okay, I don't want to just keep dancing for money, but I'm also enjoying like the expression and the artistry side of it all? You know, do you ever feel like you're not in sync with your dance? You know, do you ever feel empty and it's like, man, like this feels empty, I'm just moving my body? But then there's other moments where you're like, man, I'm tapped in, like my spirit, my mind, physically is all in one accordance. You know, so how do you balance between those moments, or how do you figure that out? How do you get through that emotional roller coaster of these highs and lows of your career? Of like, you know, I know as like creatives, we go through these like creative depressions, right? Where it's like, man, I'm not feeling it. I'm not labbing. I'm not dancing. I'm not designing. I'm not writing music. But then there's these highs. you know, but doing it on a business scale where you have to. Because if you don't have a house. You can't take care of people. So how do you push, and what is that whole like inner dialogue like?
Shoot. This is one of those, you gotta learn to adjust to certain situations. You know what I mean? So every moment has a different like way you take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the most like popular thing, or not popular, the most common thing is for sure like blocks, creative blocks, and like those things you just gotta get back to the basics. You know what I mean? Right. It's sometimes you just gotta stop, get back to the basics, Meryl. And I would literally sometimes I'll just be like, man, I don't feel like doing this. Why am I even dancing? Like this is I'll call them. I'm like, bro, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm spending too much time dancing. I haven't even seen my son in like months, bro. Like I gotta move back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And those times I don't want to dance at all, bro. But I had to just switch my mind, because your mind, what you think of and what you see, your body's gonna follow, and the universe is gonna. It's a law of attraction, you know what I mean? Speaking into existence. So I had to just tell myself, man, I don't want to dance for work anymore. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? I don't want to look for opportunities now. Looking for opportunities is out the door for me. You know what I mean? All because of a mind switch, and like. That was something that helped me love dance again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, I just want to dance for the love of it. Yeah. And this all started a few years ago, man. And I came back to Sacramento, got a job like right off the show, like in the midst of my peak for So You Think You Could Dance. Like, I came back home, I was like, man, I'm gonna get me a job. I want to be cool. I want to be by my son, bruh. I'm dancing with my people. I'm actually vibing and using my dance as a getaway again. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as that happened, I kid you not, bro, like while I was working, the general manager came in and was like, yo, we got to shut the store down. This was going into World of Dance now. And I'm like, man, and this is the most dancing I've ever done. Like, with Brian and Jacob, and being a Sac, I was dancing out here because the love for it was back. You know what I mean? And then when I seen where my love for dance can get me, then it started lining up. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'm not even looking for opportunities, and the opportunities are chasing now. You know what I mean? All because I'm just doing what I love and distributing out what I love, and to teach and to give back knowledge, and not even charging people. Like, people look at me like, you sure you want me to Venmo you $10? I'm like, bruh, it's good. Like, it's good, bruh. Like, I just love dancing. I love teaching. You know what I mean? And all those things was off of just a mind switch. I had to see myself loving dance again. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to sacrifice until those jobs start rolling in, because they come in, bro. They come in when God and when the universe sees you actually doing something with it. You know what I mean? Using your blessing as a blessing. That's what a real blessing is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, getting back to the basics, bro. Yeah, I just had to stop dancing for work. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Kind of to piggyback off a little bit, reinvention. So going back to basics is all about reinvention, understanding why you're going back to basics. And usually your basics are your grassroots of why you've started. And so it reminds you, like, hey, I'm doing this for the love. And I love that he said that, because once you start doing it and enjoying the process and every step of the process, it doesn't become a process anymore. It starts to become something that completely engulfs you and you don't even notice. But the positive energy that you put out because you love what you're doing, then all of that is coming right back to you. So you'll start, it's interesting, you'll start getting booked for the right gigs. You'll start being around the right people. So you just have to remind yourself constantly, like, and it's tough. Obviously, reinvention is a very hard thing as an artist, because when you think you have the formula figured out and you have to go back to the drawing board, sometimes that's hard. You have to like check your ego at the door. You know, you have to be able to set your ego aside and your pride aside and try to learn it a different way. You know, try to approach it a different way. So I think that is so key. Having a very solid why, like why you do what you do, is so important, because especially as an artist, it's going to be shook. It's going to be something that everyone's going to want to test that. Like, oh, do you really want it? Do you really, really want it? How bad? Like, those types of things come up all the time. So being able to go back to your basics, back to your grassroots, take a break from things that are exhausting you. I think it's super, super important to be able to say no. As a dancer, as a creative, we're so amped to say yes to everything, you know, and quality over quantity any day of the week for me now. And it's cool, and it takes time to get to that point. It takes time to say, like, oh, I've been doing this now for 12, 13 years, but the first 6, I had to figure out what quality even was for me. I had to find out what my language was in this game, and how to speak, you know, and then go back to the drawing board. So I think reinvention and being able to put your ego aside is so, so important. And when you do that, really, really like reapproach everything. Ask a whole new set of questions so you have a whole new set of answers. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
That was great. A great answer from both of y'all, man. Yeah, that was great, guys. Come on now. Wow. Okay. I think also understanding like the conversation of being like a self-brand, you know. There's this word that you know goes around, and we use the word leverage, you know. So say you know, Coca-Cola goes up to you and is like, hey, we want to book you on a retainer basis for 6 months to pay you $10,000 a month to do this thing, right? And usually when it comes to negotiating, which is where we're taking the conversation, because you are your own representative. You know, you guys, I believe, well, some of you guys, you know, agencies, a lot of it, and I say that because a lot of times some agencies will not represent you the way you should be represented, which is why a lot of creatives take it into their own measures to make sure they get paid, taken care of, and insured the way that they should be taken care of. And so going back like to talking about leverage, how do you understand yourself to the point where you know what to leverage in the conversation? So Coca-Cola comes up to me and they say, yo, Brian Dang, we would like to retain you for, 6 months and give you $10,000, right? And I'm like, well, no, I would like to negotiate for $15,000. How do I know that I'm even worth that? And where do I find the median to know that I'm worth more? You know, because I feel like a lot of creators are getting into this and are like, I don't even know what to put my work at, because I would do this for free. You know, give me gas money. You know what I'm saying? When there's other dancers who are like, yeah, nah, $8,000 for the gig isn't enough. I deserve $10,000. How do you find that validation? How do you know that that's what you're worth? And where does that number come from? You know, how do you know no, I'm worth $1,000 for that music video, and then the other person's getting paid $250? You know, like, because sometimes, you know, creativity is subjective. It's all opinionated, you know? And how do you scale yourself where someone is coming up to you and you have to leverage yourself and have that conversation, you know? So how do you know how to leverage yourself and understand that?
That's a good question. First and foremost, they're coming up to me for, you know, a service, or they've seen a skill set that they like, right? Like they want to book me specifically because of the things that I've done or the things that I'm currently doing or the skills that I have. To me, it comes down to experience because for me, it's about respect. If there's someone that is more skilled than I am, that has kind of paved the way prior to me, and they're charging so-and-so, I'm not going to go above that. And that's just personal preference. I mean, if you think you're worth more than like an OG or a pioneer, that's up to you. You know, you determine your own self-worth. But at the end of the conversation, you have to remember that they're coming up to you, booking you off of your skill set. You're the creative, right? They're entrusting their vision into your hands. So it's definitely case-by-case basis. I don't have like a flat rate. I think that's a joke because there's also those times where you have to leverage over like $100, you know, where it's like this, you know, you get booked for a judging gig. They're like, hey, this is kind of like a passion project. I have $100. And you're like, okay, like I'll do it. You know, you have to be able to like play it case by case, ear by ear, you know, but it's interesting because the more experience that you get, then obviously the more your worth increases. So you have to be able to understand that if you don't raise your worth in certain scenarios, then they're going to devalue the next person. So if someone's not going to say like, yo, I'm offering you 10,000, no, I want 15. If someone doesn't say 15, then next time they're going to go 8. You know, so it's one of those things where depending upon who's asking me to work, I'm going to play that ear by ear and kind of either go higher or be like, all right, 10. 10 is it, you know? But that, like I said, that's based off of experience, you know?
Oh, yeah, he got that one. Yeah, it's experience, man. Oh, man. Especially like what I'm requested to do, because, you know, when they come up to you, that's when you got to start knowing how to deal your cards, you know what I mean? And like with the style that I do, crump, man, it's like you got to be careful with that price. You know what I mean? Because the dance is so, it's like growing. You know what I mean? It's like it's teenage years right now. So it's still room to. This kid's in here. Yeah, it's still room to mess up how this dance can be taught. You know what I'm saying? When you still got creators, Eyes and Miho, and people like Riot who are still in the game, who are OGs. You know what I mean? These people that actually care about the craft. So it's a priceless thing, but you gotta kind of have to adjust it to or I have to adjust it to my, you know, my stability and my with my income and stuff. So it varies, and so it's what, you know, Jesse was saying, plus this right here, like the crump and stuff. I'd be scared to just price myself because I'm like, I don't know what Eyes and Miho be charging. Let me see. Okay, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to disrespect, you know, a person's craft. It's still their craft. You know what I mean? It's a baby. So, but yeah, it varies, man. But experience is a very high key. Like, I think that should be the word, experience.
Okay, you know, give it up for y'all. Give it up for them. We're short on time. We have to close up that panelist discussion about self-branding. But I just want to add my couple cents real quick. One thing that I would like to piggyback and layer on top of that is for those dancers out there or creative entrepreneurs out there, one way to leverage yourself is understanding your competition. And I don't mean that as in like looking and judging someone, but look at what you have to offer. Like your personality, you can leverage that. Like I will get booked for something just because of who I am, like the way I interact with the audience. Now, see, I book a lot of people every year, and I don't really look at the skill. The skill gets my attention, but it's how is Jesse gonna treat y'all? You know, that's why I'm gonna book him. You know, how is Tsunami gonna treat y'all? How does she interact with people? How does Kevin interact? Because I would rather pay extra for the one that's going to take care of my community because of their personality, rather than the one who has more clout and could maybe get, whatever, more revenue, whatever, but that's not a principle that I'm abiding by. So to me, you can leverage those certain things, and also understanding that you yourself is the product, not your dancing. It's your creativity, it's who you are, it's your skin color, it's your height, it's your image, it's how you dress. All of that plays a factor into what you can leverage. Look, I wear these brands. What's your market? Youth. Well, I wear things that's hot to them. I'm worth more, rather than the other person that's irrelevant from that conversation. You see what I'm saying, though? But understanding that you can leverage yourself off simple things and who you are, not just your dancing. Does that make sense? So, yeah, I just wanted to add that on top because they were hitting some really great points there. Cool. All right, y'all. Give it up for these two, y'all. Give it up, give it up, give it up. Yeah. Konkrete and Jesse Sykes, y'all. Make sure y'all follow them. What's your Instagrams?
Mine's is easier now. It's just concrete_. All K's, please. No C's.
Konkrete, y'all.
Mine is just Jesse_Sykes. Follow me on everything.
Available for booking. All right.